This is Stefan, and this is a special episode of What's on Tap. Well, actually, it's not an episode of What's on Tap. It's an episode of Brew Bloods. When I was in Texas a couple of weeks ago, I was able to get together with the guys, and we did an episode of What's on Tap, which you've already heard. And now we have the episode that I was appeared on. So I hope you enjoy this. Check them out, brewbloods.com. It's a great Texas-based beer review podcast. Really, really like these guys, and I hope you do too. Enjoy the show.
Drink beer. Think beer. You're listening to Brew Bloods.
Hey, welcome to Brew Bloods episode 83. It's a very special episode. We just got back from the Peticolas 5th anniversary party, New Year's Eve party. So you're hearing this obviously in 2017, but we celebrated with Michael Peticolas. He was dressed up like a naked baby with the little sash and everything as he made his cheers for the New Year.
So sexy.
And that sexy voice you hear there, Stefan from a What's on Tap podcast out of Sweden. Came here just for this event.
Yo, girl.
Why do you sound so NPR today? It's really weird.
It's anytime I have these headphones on with the Tascam, I go into NPR mode. I'm trying not to be too loud, so it's hard to say. Whatever.
I thought it was on an episode of All Things Considered or something.
Welcome to All Beer Considered here on the Brew Bloods.
I also like the fact that we're splitting 2 mics between 4 people.
Well, we're doing the best we can. I don't have any more splitters, so
This is the mobile mic one.
Yeah, we're
Thanks, 4 guys.
I love that porn. That's my favorite porn.
we're also joined by Javi from Central Track again
How's it
on the
going,
show.
guys?
Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
And so you're going to hear next week. We'll hear the episode that Stefan recorded for What's on Tap. You'll hear our review of the Operation Collaboration from Peticolas with Green Flash, but that'll be next week on our show. But did you guys enjoy the Peticolas 5th anniversary? The new tap room that they unveiled?
Yeah, it was really nice. It's a lot of really high ABV. I should tell. Like I've already had quite a few ABV beers. Everything seemed to be between 8 and 11, 12%.
Yeah, they got a couple of. They have the Alfred Brown that's about 5.3, and then a couple of those other great Scots I think were around 6.5. But definitely nothing session available there.
No, and overall it was just really nice, especially when you can do the what do you call it? The trying it by the years and everything.
The vertical, yeah.
Vertical. Thank you.
So what did you think of their flagship beer, the Velvet Hammer?
You know, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was quite nice. I'm not a big one for spiced ales,
right.
But it was a really pleasant red ale. I really, really enjoyed it.
So we're not just blowing smoke up Michael's ass then?
No. I mean, you are. You really are just you're just on your knees filleting him constantly.
But that doesn't have to do with
I
the beer.
enjoy. I mean, I enjoy that in a podcast. Don't get me wrong. But no, it is well due. He's put out some really, really great stuff, and I feel like I've today I feel like I tried 5 years worth of history
right.
in his brewery, and there was a lot of really, really good stuff there.
Yeah, they had 36 beers on tap there, and they had a number of verticals from the Duke to the Great Scots. They had the Sledgehammer, they had the Velvet Hammer. I didn't see the Pick Hammer, but it was a fun party. It was they had 2 sessions I think going on. We went to the first session.
Yeah.
And
so they had one at noon, and then they're having one at 4 p.m.
Right. And
they did the right thing by cutting off the amount of tickets that they sold for each session, because honestly, unlike years past, this has been a tradition with my friend Alyssa and I, where like we've gone for the last 3 years, and every time it's always super busy, and like you just gotta. It's one of those where like sometimes you would have to, get your drink, get back in line, take your drink your beer, and then by the time you're done, you'll be up at the front of the line. But this is much more relaxed. And honestly, a lot of people cleared out kind of early, actually.
Yeah, I would say around 30 people started to clear out.
Yeah, I would say it was really nice because I didn't have to wait in line for anything, and almost like I was trying to figure out what I wanted, and the servers were like, "What do you want? What do you want?" I'm like, I just need a half a second longer to be able to all right, just give me that.
Yeah. It was nice. It was spread out and well organized. Conversely, I didn't go to it this year, but the Bourbon Barrel Temptress release party I heard they didn't ticket it like they did last year, and people were saying you had to wait 40 minutes in line just to get one glass, which was just crazy. I don't know if that's true or not. We weren't there. It was on the Dallas Facebook group. So
but they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different stations, 6 different stations set up.
Manned by easily 3 or 4 people each.
Yeah. So you could easily hop around and try different things.
Yeah, it was a good party. Congratulations to 5 years for Peticolas. Now, Stefan, he was supposed to bring us a number of beers, but unfortunately somebody stole.
Right. So
somebody got themselves some nice Euro
was
beers.
stolen, and we were supposed to be trying the Yellow Belly today, which is hands down like one of my all-time favorite beers.
That's
just
Omnipollo
amazing. Yeah, Omnipollo as well. Amazing beer to try.
And but I will say, you showed me that bottle. That bottle makes me uncomfortable. It
should, because it's their anti-racism beer. And it looks like
it looks like something, like David Duke would be in favor of.
Right. So it's their anti-racism beer, and the packaging itself is a beer in a white paper bag
with eye holes
with a tied top, and then with two little eye holes on it. So it looks kind of like a clan hood. It's very disturbing. But when you take the paper off and you read the label itself, it's very much about racism awareness and combating racism and equality and.
So if you see anyone in the Arkansas area with a clan hood beer wearing a small girl's clothing, then you'll know that they took Stefan's bag.
They stole my shit, man. Straight up stole it.
How disappointing, I would imagine it's... why would you steal a little girl's bag anyways?
Well, because it was an oversized suitcase. It was a huge suitcase. It was big and it was red. And what happened was...
Big and red, much like your appendage.
Yes, exactly. big and red, much like the rocket is what we call it, the red rocket. So what happened was we flew in... And they didn't have our luggage, so we thought, well, crap. We'll go into Tulsa and go to the Prairie Artisan Bar, which was amazing because they were selling the deconstructed Prairie Bomb. So you could buy a deconstructed version of that. So you could buy either like the vanilla or the chocolate, the chili, or the coffee version of that. And we tried the vanilla and the chili version, and the vanilla was amazing, just out of this world. The chili what I tried was really, really dry. It was just kind of okay. And then we tried a couple of beers from American Solera, which is a brewery headed up by the guy that used to run the sour stuff for Prairie Artisan. He opened his own place basically right next door. So I'm gonna try a couple of his things. And if you like sour beers, American Solera just does like an amazing stuff. And
then you found out that you lost all your beers.
and then we found out we lost all my luggage. And then I had the honestly, I feel really bad for you guys because you don't get to try the Yellow Belly. You don't get to try the Texas Pecan ice cream stout, which is amazingly good. It was just ranked one of the top 50 stouts in the world.
Which you guys just covered that on What's on Tap, right?
The last episode was the Texas Pecan and the Rocky Road ice cream stouts.
I'm very disappointed, and I expect you to, once you get back, you can spend $300 and ship those back to the States.
No, honestly, I would love to ship you guys those. I think, what's great is in March, the Noah Pecan Mud Cake Stout becomes part of the regular release series for Omnipollo, and I'll definitely send you guys that stuff because it is, honestly, it's one of those beers you have to try.
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to that. And
logistically, how much does it take to ship from Sweden to
it's a lot. And vice versa.
International shipping is never cheap. So if you're going to do it, you got to make it worth your while.
Right. But I'm wondering, how many beers is it worth?
Well, I just sent him a shipment a few weeks ago, and it was probably 10 beers.
Yeah.
And it cost, and the slowest shipping, it cost me $150 to ship it to Sweden. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think what I sent you 6 beers in over 2 packages, and it was around like $60.
Yeah, it's not cheap. Yeah. I wanted to do UPS to get a signature on it because a lot of times it gets lost. And it was going to be like $300. And he's like, you don't want to do that. I'm like, no,
you do not want to.
I will ship with the USPS, cheapest version available. But today we're talking about the outside the lines from Omnipollo. I always want to call it Omnipollo because we're in Texas, obviously.
Of course,
the omniscient chicken. But this is an Imperial Double Stouts, 12% ABV, and allegedly no IBU, at least according to Untappd.
Yeah, there's absolutely no IBU on this. And this is a very, very standard style. I mean, stouts are Omnipollo, like stouts and really hoppy beers. They're kind of the two things that they go for.
It only has 727 ratings on Untappd, but it's a 4.056 on average.
Yeah. And this is done with what was the brewery? It was Trillium, And Trillium also does an outside the lines, but it's the U.S. version of this. Right. And this is cardamom and vanilla.
Which I'm not familiar with cardamom, so talk about cardamom, because I know you love it, but your partner Matthias hates it.
Right. So Matthias, who works with who does What's on Tap podcast with me, he does not like the cardamom beers because cardamom is a very distinct flavor. It's kind of like getting a licorice beer. You're definitely going to know that's a licorice beer if it's done right.
Like black licorice or red
like black licorice,
okay.
yeah. And
so it's distinctive like that, or this has a black licorice taste to it?
No, it does not have a black licorice taste. It's distinctive like that. So if you've ever had Indian rice, like Indian food, uses a lot of cardamom in Indian food.
He said a couple of times he tried to make a batch, because he's a brewer himself.
Yeah.
Stefan's actually wearing an Olsen Brewing t-shirt right now, which is Matthias's brewery. But he said they tried it in a large batch and they barely used any cardamom, and he said it ruined the entire batch and he had to dump it.
Well, because cardamom is a really overpowering
pungent
flavor. Yeah, it's like pungent. It's like lavender. Lavender, you can use a little bit. It's always going to taste like flowery and soapy.
Right.
Cardamom, just a little bit gives you just a huge adjunct flavor. And I mean, if you smell this beer, you get kind of the chocolate and the coffee, and you get that that cardamom smell right off of the top.
I guess I can see that. I'm not a big fan of Indian food, so I'm a little wary of this, but I can definitely get some of those Indian food notes in there for sure. But there's also it kind of reminds me, it smells like a little bit like the Prairie Bomb, but with less spice.
It does have a bit of a Prairie Bomb. So there's a little bit of cinnamon in there when you kind of swirl it. It doesn't foam up at all because there's absolutely no carbonation in this whatsoever.
It also smells a little medicinal to me, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Well,
medicinal as in marijuana?
No, like a light Robitussin almost.
There are other types of medicines, Javi.
I was not aware of that.
Other than small batch free range marijuana. Right.
Love that handcrafted marijuana.
Well, let's just give it a little taste there and see what you guys think.
Appearance wise, though, it's brown. It's very brown. It's very thick.
It is super black. And then when you swirl it, it just coats the glass in this brown haze.
It's very oily, just in the glass.
Yeah, Omnipollo is super oily and almost no carbonation in their beers.
It's funny. We're drinking these out of Peticolas glasses. You can definitely see the layers of transition between the glass and the beer.
I can definitely smell a licorice kind of smell too.
Yeah. You're getting kind of that as well.
Not sure if I like that. It's interesting. It's not bad. I
don't know. That's definitely not what we get in the U.S. for sure. Like this feels like a foreign ass beer.
Like American Great Dane. Well, yeah, I kind of had the misconception of thinking like Prairie Bomb was in my mind because of the vanilla bean, because of the stout. Glassware's not exactly the same, but similar coloring or something. So that was kind of in my mind. And then you get this, and it's nothing like that at all. The vanilla is not exceptionally prominent, I would say. It's got to be
prominent enough.
You think?
I think so.
Yeah, I get huge vanilla off.
Really? I don't at first, for sure.
Fight me, bro.
Yeah, well, let's fight. Yeah. It's got to be one of the counterbalance elements in there, but I don't feel like it's not as prominent as I expected. I guess maybe because it has kind of that tart back end or whatever it is that.
Yeah, you definitely get that bitter cocoa nib flavor to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's really it's interesting. It reminds me of like rum. It's kind of rummy to me. Like a Spanish rum, but then it's like you poured in a batch of dirt or something. It's very earthy to me.
Yeah. I can see what you're saying.
I'm saying it's very earthy.
They also make a beer. Omnipollo also makes a beer called a Hypnopampa, which is it's a coffee marshmallow stout. And I get some of that marshmallowy vanilla. Like I said, the cocoa nib's really dry. I mean, it's very dry. Really, really dry beer.
Marshmallow is that's a very good description. I get that now that you mention it.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me. So back in the day, one of our very early episodes was the Shiner chocolate beer that they made. It kind of reminds me
that beer was garbage.
No, I'm not. Well, look, I'm just saying it kind of reminds me of that dry cocoa. This is definitely a better beer for sure. I mean, that, as we described at the time, was like back of the shelf Walmart chocolate frosting, and this is better than that for sure. I just don't know that I don't know.
You know what
I'm having a hard time with this one.
This reminds me of, honestly, a lot of the Brewdog beers. It reminds me a little bit of the Tokyo. It actually reminds me quite a bit of the Tactical Nuclear Penguin, to be honest.
Really?
That
is a surprise because I don't think that
this it's not similar, but it's just like I remember whenever I tried the Tactical Nuclear Penguin, like it was very flavorful up front, but it didn't have. But it kind of like just kind of disappeared like a little bit towards the end there, and that's kind of what I'm getting from this beer.
Yeah, no, I see that, but for me, like the aftertaste, it's really dry, and it stops really fast on the palate. But the flavors you are left with are like this toasted coffee, vanilla,
toasted coffee, marshmallow flavor is definitely there.
Yeah, very chocolatey kind of flavor.
That's why I totally disagree with you on comparing it to the Shiner, because I thought that was like a really crappy milk chocolate, nasty flavor, and this has like a really full-bodied flavor to it, and the vanilla is good. I get it after drinking it a little bit more. I do get the vanilla marshmallowy flavor, and I think that does counter out. I think toasted is a very good description.
Yeah,
toasty aftertaste is it's really good. It's much different than that Shiner for me.
Honestly, it's starting to taste like have kind of like a s'mores kind of flavor.
Yeah, s'mores. Yeah.
Oh yeah, very much so. I think once it warms up, and it really that's the great thing about Omnipollo stouts is you let them warm up a little bit, and they just blossom, and they just bring you so much more.
I didn't mean to be disparaging. I'm just saying
you did. You're dick.
Well, I don't know.
We all feel that.
Yeah. I tell you what, I don't like the uptops on this beer, but I do like the back end on this beer. I think it's a very different beer from front to back. And I don't hate it up front. It just has kind of a dry cocoa quality that reminded me of the Shiner. The Shiner is by far a worse beer. Don't get me wrong. I really like the complexity of this beer.
So why are you comparing it to the worst beer?
Because there's it reminds me of the dried kind of cocoa. Parts of it remind me of the dry cocoa flavor of that bad Shiner beer.
You remember that really crappy beer that I really hated? It's kind of like that, but much, much better.
But see, to me, that tasted like old milk chocolate. And this doesn't have that flavor at all.
Yeah. I'm just saying, to me, it shares some of those qualities. Now, I love the aftertaste on this beer. I think it's a lot better in the aftertaste than the initial taste. But the back end taste, the aftertaste is excellent. I love that. I think maybe I'm just not a fan of cardamom. I think it's probably.
And it could be the cardamom. I mean, that is like I said. I don't find it overwhelming. Matthias, my co-host, he found it just like a huge cardamom bomb.
Yeah.
And from what I've heard, what I've read, it's a little like. What do you call it? Not like some beers. Some of the bottles are more cardamom-y than other ones. But
I think more than this would be just outright dangerous. I can see why you would want to dump a batch if it was any stronger than this.
But I find it very, very drinkable, very smooth. It's got that really rich, thick, chocolatey. Vanilla.
This is definitely one and done for me.
It definitely feels like a nightcap kind of beer, where like you just take your time with it, you don't rush it. And probably going to go to bed right afterwards.
Yeah, it's like 11, 12%. So, yeah, it is. It does not taste like it is 12%.
Yeah, to its favor, it's not boozy at all.
It does not taste like that at all.
This is definitely a finish one off and then finish yourself off and then go to bed.
Yeah, Omnipollo does an amazing job of hiding their ABV. They usually do not taste that boozy.
Yeah, that IPA that I had saved from your last trip. What was that called?
Nebuchadnezzar?
Nebuchadnezzar, yeah. That high ABV couldn't taste the booze at all. I don't know what magic they weave, but
I guess today we're podcasting about all like less boozy beers, I guess, or less boozy
tasting beers, hiding them all.
Sure. Yeah.
All right.
Omnipollo does like hands down some of the best stuff I've ever had, and I usually enjoy pretty much anything they do. This was a one-off that they did. Probably never see it again. I bought like 7-8 bottles of it just because I figure it'll age out pretty well. That and the Noah Pecan. Mud Cake Stout, also really, really good. But yeah, I can get you guys some more of the stuff.
Yeah, I'd love everything you've sent us from, and I've heard about from Omnipollo. It sounds, I love how crafty they are, and without being, since I'm not like Jester King does a lot of experimentation with, but they're all wild ales and sours, which I'm not really a sour fan. So it's nice to see somebody else being crazy experimental. It's really cool.
And they come up with this like stuff. You're just like, you should just call that diabetes because it's just like
diabetes.
Yeah, it's like graham cracker, chocolate, caramel, marshmallow.
Sounds amazing.
Something stout. I mean, they just do like if you follow them on Instagram and they come up with stuff and you're like,
and what's your Instagram?
What's my Instagram?
What's your Instagram?
My Instagram is I have two. I have one for the podcast, which is What's on Tap. And then I have my own personal Instagram, which is Booze and Bars.
Yeah.
And I showcase a lot of the beers that we try.
And a lot of your dick pics.
And a lot of dick pics.
With your dick wreath.
Yes. Well, it's a lot of tuck pics because they can't show peen. on Instagram. So it's a lot of tuck
just a hint.
It's just like I just like to reenact that scene from Silence of the Lambs every day.
That's all you get.
Yep.
And every time he tries a new lipstick.
Yep.
All right, well, let's go with ratings. Stefan, let's go with you first since you're more experienced with this.
Well, I absolutely love this beer. This is my second time to have it. I think it's one of their better. I put it up there with the Noah, with the Yellow Belly, with the Lorelei, which is another just amazing like stout that they put out. So this for me is like a 4.5.
All right.
I'd give this, honestly, because it kind of reminds me of, like I said, the Tactical Nuclear Penguin and like the Tokyo from Brewdog. I'd give this like a 4.25. It's good.
Yeah, I think it's got a really good mix of toasted notes, and then the marshmallow vanilla does a good counter. It's dry, like you said, but it's not drying, which is always good. Kind of like Marcus said, I think I do appreciate the aftertaste of it, but I actually like the upfront as well. So I think it's a pretty well-rounded beer overall. So I'd probably give it 4.25.
Yeah, I don't think I can go as high as you guys, but I think that's just my flavor problem.
Because you're a dick.
I'm a dick, yeah. But I'm not going to give it a bad rating. I'm actually going just because I admire the complexity of the beer. I don't think I like cardamom. I'm definitely not a licorice fan, so I really don't like the upfront in this beer, but I really admire the back end of this beer because I admire how it transitions.
Do you get licorice flavor out of this? Because I really haven't gotten much of that.
No, very little.
I can taste it, and maybe it's just my weird tongue, but I can.
Well, I think that I can see we're getting a licorice, but it's not really licorice. I think it's cardamom flavor that's doing that for you. Because if you had really licorice beers, you usually feel really, really numb in your tongue. And that's where you can tell, like, you've got that really strong black licorice.
We don't get
flavor.
licorice beers here in the States, as far as I know.
Yeah, well, I could have brought like 3 different black licorice beers, and they would have all.
That's kind of
honestly, you think they sound horrible? They're really, really good. I would like if there's an American black licorice porter or stout, I probably wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
but because licorice is such a dominant flavor in like so many things in Scandinavia. They do some really, really nice stuff to where you don't get that like just punch in the mouth. Licorice. It's like a subtle aftertaste. It just creeps up on you.
I would imagine it requires decades and decades of experience with mixing those ingredients, which we obviously don't have here.
Right. Well, you guys like the chili licorice beer I brought
that's true.
About 3 years ago.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. So, yeah, I admire the complexity of this beer, even if I don't necessarily enjoy the flavor palette overall up front. But I do like the aftertaste quite a bit, the almondy, smoky, s'moresy type flavor. So, I'm going to go with 4 out of 5. If I were just going on taste alone, I'd probably rate it lower, but I admire what it does. How it has a very, it's a very complex beer, and I admire that. And I think probably for people who enjoy cardamom, you're probably really going to like this beer.
Yeah, I think if they did a barrel-aged version of this, it would be really good because they're doing a lot of barrel-aged versions of their stuff right now. And like the Noah Pecan, they have 2 different barrel-aged versions. One is a double barrel-aged where they barrel-age it on Islay whiskey and then another whiskey, and it's unbelievably good.
I bet this beer would be good if you aged it for a couple of years. I bet it would. I bet it would age really well. But yeah, I'm going to give it 4 out of 5. It's definitely it's a one and done for me. I could not drink more than one of these. I think really the fourth of a bottle I got here was enough for me.
Really?
Yeah, it's good. It's just not. can't imagine having more than half.
I think it's just. I don't see that as a bad thing. I think it's just so flavorful.
It's really strong
in a good way.
Yeah.
That I feel like it's. Honestly, I feel like this should have been in a bomber. And just like maybe had like a slightly bigger pour per person, but I like it. I
admire what they did.
I think it's really good. Like I think it's like a shareable beer. I don't think that it's like one where you just pour yourself a full snifter's worth and then.
It's definitely great for a bottle share for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's really good.
All right, and 12% alcohol. You don't want to hit a lot of this.
You say that.
You want to be at home for this kind of beer.
All right, well, Javi, we can find all your fine work at centraltrack.com.
Yes.
Beer coverage, movie coverage, other coverage. What you guys just named, Brain Dead, your favorite brewery of 2016?
We did, and honestly, I can't. I didn't write this year's top brewery of the year. I wrote last year's. Which was Lakewood, but I'm not gonna lie, our beer reviewer guy Ben Smithson, he picked the right one because honestly, like their special releases, their experimental stuff has been some of the much more interesting stuff around Dallas,
right.
The Dallas brew scene, And I always make it a point, anytime I hear that they come out with a new beer, I always make it a point to go out and try everything.
Yeah,
it's really great. They're doing barrel aging. They're doing wild ales, farmhouse ales. They're doing
just so people know
the whole gamut.
Yeah, they're a brew pub here in Dallas, and they just started bottling within the last year, right?
They actually bottled within their first year. Their first so at your. Was it your Christmas party or Thanksgiving thing? Thanksgiving, yeah. Like, I brought the Hammer of the Gods, and that was already aged a year, and they had just opened, like, that summer. So they've been bottling for a while, but they're expanding their bottling. And, yeah, they're a brew pub based out of the Deep Ellum neighborhood, which is historically a music-centric neighborhood.
I was going to say, it's real easy for you to check all that out, too, since you can basically walk over there and try it out.
I'm not gonna lie, that's actually part of the reason why I'm still in the neighborhood paying that ridiculous rent. But
we appreciate you not lying about it, too. That's good.
Exactly. No,
you lie all
great.
the freaking time. And Stefan, we can find your podcast, What's on Tap. You guys travel around to various bars, other than your 12 Days of Christmas episodes. 12 days of Boozmas. But yeah, you guys travel around.
The Advent calendar, 24 days of unique beers from Tuol.
But yeah, it's you guys go around to pubs and bars and breweries in the Scandinavian world, right?
Yeah.
Will Mike Woods make an appearance on that podcast?
Probably not. And I think he will not be making an appearance.
What about Tiny Lister?
There's Tiny Lister. I wish we could Tiny Lister.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
The Gangster is always welcome. But no, he will not be making an appearance probably.
And your partner's Matthias, and he has his own brewery, and he's quite the expert on. He's a big sour fan, right?
Yeah, he's a huge sour fan, and Matthias does he does really, really good stuff. I honestly, I meant to bring a bottle of one of his stuff, one of his beers with us, and I had it with me, but it leaked on the plane.
Yeah.
So my brother and I enjoyed it for Christmas, and it was amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to you sending some, and we can just specifically tear it apart. Yes, we'll rip it a new one.
Yeah, dude. He made this thing called whatchamacallit. He called what was it called? Well, him and I, we made a coffee brown ale called For Coffee, and it was
nice name.
Yeah, we worked on it for a long time. It really came to us. It was inspiration, but it was so freaking good because brown ale's not the most exciting style, but this was like coffee, and it was sweet, and it was rich. It was so good, and his IPAs and double IPAs are really, really good.
All right, well, hopefully in March 2018, I'm planning to come out for 6 weeks, so I'll be joining you for every single episode. Yes. I'll be dominating every single episode.
As well you should. You're more than welcome to.
All right, well, we'll catch you guys next week for episode, no, we're going to have next week we'll play the What's on Tap episode that we did, and then we'll come back for episode 84 after that. So catch you guys from the next episode of Brew Bloods. Probst.
Said it wrong. It's Jeff Probst.